My name's Michael Home and I'm going to walk you through this simple gents scissor cut. I have over 20 years experience in the industry and I'm going to share it with you right now. So I'm going to start by wetting the hair down. I always like to scissor cut on wet hair, and one of the best ways to control hair is to cut it in little sections and cut those sections in order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the hair at the back of the head just above the middle, above what we call the occipital bone. And these are going to be the little sections that I'm going to take. The way I'm going to do that is slide the scissor in underneath the hair at the top, then put the comb underneath the scissor and cut the hair away. Now each time you can see the short hair from the previous section, and that is what I'm using as a guide so that I know how much hair to cut from the next section. So I'll continue working my way down towards the bottom. Now you can take slightly more off as you get nearer the bottom if you want to create what we call a tapered finish where it kind of disappears towards the bottom. Now that I've completed that middle panel, I'm going to step to the side of that and I'm going to use the same technique, sliding the scissor in, putting the comb underneath and cutting across the spine of the comb. Now this technique does look tricky, but a little bit of practice and it actually becomes second nature to you. It's very easy and it would probably become your favorite way of scissor cutting hair. At the ear, make sure you get in right behind the ear there. So get the point in behind the ear so you're gathering up all of the hair. I'll cut this side and then I'll move across to the other side and I'll repeat. Now this method is what is known as cutting hair without tension. So you go in with the scissor and the hair is just relaxed on the comb. It's not being pulled out by the fingers. I really like to cut hair without tension because it's much more natural. When you pull hair out with the fingers, you put it under tension. That's not the natural state of the hair. That's not the way that hair lies. There is a use for it, and I'm going to do that right now at the top because this hair is so long, I'm going to have to cut it with tension. So I'm going to take sections and I'm going to pull them out with my fingers. Now I can see at the bottom of my section the short hair from where I was doing that scissor over comb without tension method. And I'm going to use that as my guide and work straight up on the section. So this is cutting hair with tension. Yeah, the reason, as I stated, that I'm doing it this way higher up is because the hair is longer. And if I was to pick up the hair with the scissors and the comb, it would actually start to collapse because of the length of it. So I prefer to use my fingers for longer hair. You'll probably find most hairdressers and barbers are the same. Now that it's down to length, I can polish it a little bit with some scissor over comb, but I am going to come back to this at the end of the haircut because I want to show you some really important polishing techniques. I want you to see how I polish up a haircut. It's very important. Now, step over at the side, we'll continue working our way across. You can see the amount of time I've been working here. It's not a long time, and I've almost covered the entire back of the head. I'm going to show you in a minute how I tie the back into the sides of the head. It's actually really easy, but I'll just polish this up a little bit more. And as I said, we are going to polish it even further at the end. So, scissor over comb. These scissors are, by the way, quartered steel scissors. Now, I don't earn a commission from quartered steels, but I'm happy to recommend them. They are very good. I'll leave a link down below for those scissors. So, how do we tie the back into the front? We need some kind of guide. So, let's take a look here. Comb that hair out of the way. You see where the little circle is and the arrows? So the little circle, that'll tell me where that was the short hair from the back. You can see it in the comb. So I just follow that forwards, pull the comb out as far as that little circle, you know, where it was, and work my way forwards. As you work down towards the ear, make sure you keep the comb in front of the ear. That's a method I pretty much always use. I'll step to the side of that again. Now, I'm getting nearer the front. I'm not quite at the front yet, but there's the short hair in the comb, and I'll just work my way down from there. It's a really enjoyable method. Let me know down below if you like cutting like this, if you use this method. It's definitely one of my favourite methods. it's so fast. I mean, it's almost faster than a clipper, I think. Sometimes you're going over and over hair with the clipper. If it's not, well, it depends what clipper you're using. But now look at this. I've got the comb on top of the ear. That's really important. Keep the comb on top of the ear. Pull the hair over it and keep the comb on top of the ear. When you're cutting this fine hair around the ear, cut away from the ear. So the back of the blade is on the front of the ear and I cut away. Same at the back. I'm cutting away from the ear. So I know that there's no ear in between the two blades of the scissor. So we still need to address this final little bit at the temple here. So we'll go in scissor over comb again. It's the same method. I'm taking little sections, working my way down and getting closer towards the bottom. Now I'm going to tidy up around the ears with a little trimmer at the end as well. But I'm happy with that there. So here on the other side, there's that short hair, and I can use that as my guide to work my way forwards. So we're taking our next section forward, but working down towards the ear, all the way down. And remember, at the ear, what did we say? Keeping it safe, keep the spine of the comb on top of the ear when you're cutting across. There's the short hair again. And you'll notice here, what I'm doing closer to the front, I'm taking a slightly different angle. I'm not quite working straight down. The comb is at a slight angle. I'm going with the flow of the hair. This is kind of the way that the hair grows towards the face, and sometimes you can find it easier to cut at a slightly different angle than just horizontal. You can see here, look, this is where I'm going to take my sections here. I'm going to work towards the face, towards the eye, and let the hair just lay towards the eyebrow. Feel free when you're cutting hair to alter the way that you're cutting. You know, it doesn't have to be straight lines. You can change the angle for the direction of the hair anytime you like. On top, I'm going to take a series of sections, and you can see them here. So I'm going to pull my sections using the hook of the comb and lift them up and cut straight across the fingers. So this is cutting hair with tension. It's hard to cut hair without tension on top because, as I said, hair collapses, and it collapses even more so on top because of gravity. But each section gives me a guide for the next section that I'm going to cut. So I have, I'll cut this section, that's short. If I pick up a little bit of that with my next section, then I can see how much hair I need to take off. So I'll keep working my way towards the front. Now, a little tip here, sometimes what I will do is actually just pull back at the fringe a little bit. So when I'm picking up, I pull my fingers back, and the hair, because of that, is what we call an over direction. The hair then is slightly longer as you get towards the fringe. Sometimes I like to cut the fringe on its own at the end of the haircut. I'm going to step to the right of the center now, and you can see a little guide from the short hair in the middle. And if I just keep picking up my sections there, I've always got the short hair in the middle to tie into. By the way, I do also teach barbering on Udemy. I have a couple of courses on there, and I'll leave a link down below for Udemy if you want to learn more from me. And you can also find me on Instagram. I have an Instagram channel. It's the 1 Minute Barber as well. So links down below, as well as all the links for all the tools that I'm using today. Now, if you've cut the top and cut the sides, you have this little area in between the sides and the top that you need to tie together. So I'm going to work my way across this section. I know it's there. I know I'm going to find some little long hairs there. So if I work my way across. So if I follow that line along, I'm going to just take what would be a corner, and I'm going to follow right round onto the crown as well and connect the back and the top together. So this is just taking down any high points on the crown. You can tell me at the end if you think that I've taken down the crown enough. I think I have, but I blow dry it with a bit of fluff, and you can, you be the judge. Let me know in the comments. Okay, over to the left-hand side of that central section, I'm going to do the same. I should be able to find my guide from the middle and just work my way forward from the back to the front. Using the hook of the comb, I can draw it across each section and then just cut across. Now, this is the speed that I normally work at when I'm in the shop. I tend to work quite quickly. You don't have to. You know, if you need time to focus on where your section should be and making thin sections, then do that. This is just so that you're not bored watching this video, and you can slow it down at any point, anytime you like. You don't need to work at the speed of me. And don't be daunted by fast work, okay? The reason I'm fast is because I've repeated this so many times, you know, thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands of times, to the point that it's just second nature. I know exactly what I'm picking up. Now here's me, look, connecting that side, looking for that little corner between the top and the sides, like I said to you before, and making sure everything in the haircut is connected. When you're blow drying, you can actually find areas that are unconnected and deal with them later. Round at the front, I wish I'd filmed this better for you, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the hair down onto the comb and just trim across the spine of the comb. I'm only taking off anything that is really sticking out. You know, if there's one long hair, I'll get rid of it. I'm not taking a lot off of the fringe here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a dry off, and when I'm drying it off, I'm having a look at the brush, because when you're going round with the brush, you can see if there's a little hair, a little long hair that you've missed. And then onto the back. Now it's dry, and I told you I was going to polish it. So what I'm doing is I'm going over, scissor over comb again, going over my sections. But what I'm not doing is I'm not taking a huge amount of length off. I'm just looking for anything that looks like it's out of place. Any kind of little long hair that isn't connected, it's not tying in. I like to check the whole haircut over like this, around the sides and the back. And once I've gone over this area, what I like to do then is the next step of polishing, which is what really like refines your work. You may feel that this is a bit long-winded, but it's worth doing because it's going to make the hair look incredible. And you can do this within half an hour. This is a half-hour haircut for me, even though I've edited it down into a 14-minute video. So here's the final technique. It's scissor over comb, and what we do is you just run the comb up through the hair, keep the scissor parallel to the comb, to the spine of the comb, and you're basically just looking to take away what I call dust. So you could probably hear the scissor cutting here, and it is taking away a tiny amount of hair. But what we're doing is we're making a really smooth panel from the bottom all the way up to the top. I'll step to the side now, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just nibbling away, taking away any tiny little long hairs. This is such an important step. A lot of people do this when they're blending in the sides to the top on a clipper cut, just with the parietal ridge area. But on this scissor cut, I'm using it all the way around and tidying up all my work to make sure that it's as neat as possible. I'm waiting to see how this lays. Once I run the pump comb through it at the end, it's going to be so good. The texture is unreal in this hair. And it must be said, I must say thank you to Alistair, who always models for me. His hair is so good. Okay, little clipper work, straight lines from the ear down to the nape of the neck. And then once we've done that, look, we've got this pump comb here, and this is what's, big teeth. Look at the texture of this. Look at how it sits. This is a layered haircut. I've gone round, scissor cut the whole thing. You can see I've fluffed up the crown a little bit with the hair dryer, although it is the correct length. Tell me what you think. Do you like the haircut? Is this useful for you? Tell me what stage you're at with your barbering. I would love to know. I'd love to know if there's anything that I could help you with, any questions that I could answer. And finally, I just want to say thank you for watching. I'll be back soon with another video. Good luck with your scissor cutting, and I'll see you again in my next video.